Welcome back. Today we are back at the big build and we're going to be installing the three-phase distribution board. It is the biggest three-phase distribution board I've ever fitted in a domestic property. So let's get some stuff in and let's get to work. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. This is a 18-way three-phase Fusebox board. And then we've also got a 14 module add-on enclosure on the top. So we've got a load of lighting connections that need to get done in there. So the plan is we're gonna have 100mm galvanized steel trunking all the way around the perimeter. The two boards will actually be joined together in the center. Along the bottom here, again, 100mm steel trunking on the bottom, bushed into there. And this point, this T here will have a little stab where it then meets the wall, at which point our tails will actually come in through the wall to feed the distribution board. So yeah, it's going to be quite good. I'll show you the cupboard space where we're going. So that's in here. So there you go. You can see all our cables at the moment. So there's absolutely tons of them coming in here. They've not put a ceiling in yet, so that's actually quite good for me because it means I can arrange them to work properly. So our boards are going to go on that side, and then what you've got is the cylinder is going to get tucked over to that side there, which is actually going to be in front of the manifold. It's been a little bit not quite thought out properly in that place, but it is what it is. But yeah, it should be a nice little install for me anyway, so quite looking forward to it. Of course, we've got an absolute ton of Milwaukee gear in today to do the filming. So we'll be cutting our steel trunking with the metal cold saw, possibly grinder if I need to as well. We've got our knockout punch to punch all our holes through because I'll be using 50mm holes. A lot of people ask me all the time, why don't I use Paxilin? I do. It's just sometimes I prefer to bush it. On these boards here, I can obviously bush in or whatever I want, wherever I want. So what I'll probably end up bushing down each side here like 4 times, maybe 5. And it means I can bring my cables in bunches, in groups. If I slot it, I feel like I'm losing a lot of the integrity of the board. And I don't know, I just don't like doing that on the sides of distribution boards, to be honest. So, you know, top, fair enough. So on the top of the 14-way add-on, I may well slot that, but because I've got gusset bends. So if you don't know what a gusset bend is, a gusset bend is where they've got these bits here. That makes it a gusset bend. I forget what you call it. I think you can get, I don't know what they're called actually, a standard bend, but you can get them where they are squared off. So these will actually fit snug around the board. But I actually made a slight mistake when I ordered the gear on that, and I'm just going to put up with it. But yes, so plan is I'm going to get these two boards fixed together, get the covers off to make them a bit lighter, fix them together, and then we can get some measurements for our trunking and actually start fitting, which would be cool. Cutting and then fitting, and then what we'll do, we'll have to construct the trunking in the cupboard and then fit the boards to it, because I'm here on my own and it'd be way too heavy for me to lift, because that 18-way board is surprisingly heavy, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, and that's just not me being a bit of a fanny, it is actually just quite heavy. So right, I'm going to crack up. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you around the place as well. So kitchen is fitted, apart from the worktops, because they've got stone tops coming in. So we've got these setups here. So I think you've got, I can't remember what you've got now. You've got ovens on the bottom, grills on the top, or microwave. I can't remember exactly what's what. So we've got power supplies all there for that. The plasterers have done a fantastic job of going around our LED tapes. So I'm really looking forward to getting all that lot put in. Also, the client needs to do some painting first, but hello, so I'm getting used to my gimbal. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. Yeah, this half still needs boarding. Not quite sure what's gone on here. I was expecting it to be done, if I'm completely honest, but it's not, so whatever, it's fine, it doesn't bother me. We've got plenty we can crack on with upstairs. So all the bedrooms upstairs are plastered, not painted yet, but they are plastered. The landing still needs plastering as well, but it's all moving in the right direction. So yeah, right, I'm gonna shut up a minute, get some of this trunking measured out, and then we can actually start. I'll show you the process of how I'm going to get this board all fitted together. Right, I've measured it. We've got a gap of 780 millimeters, so I've actually got quite enough room. I think the board is 500 wide, plus 2 lots of 100 mm trunking, which is obviously 700. So we've got 80 millimeters to spare. So that gives me enough room to put 2 lock rings in between the trunking and the board each time for my bushes go, and that will leave me probably 50 to 60 millimeters left over. So what I'm going to do is get the covers off the board, get the top of the fuse board, bottom of the add-on module, the 14 module board off, so I can get those joined together. I've not seen in the Fusebox ones how easy that is to do on these, because obviously with Hager and things like that, you can actually, they come with a kit so you can actually bolt them together. Whether these guys do that, I don't know. I'm about to find out. So yeah, I'll fast forward this so you don't have to watch me do this. I'm not stupid. And then yeah, we will basically, as soon as we've got them fitted together, we can start measuring the lengths of the trunking. So what we'll actually do is the top and bottom first, and then I can fit those and actually get a really accurate length, because obviously I'm going to be using bushes to come into the bottom and the top. I want to make sure that they're fitted exactly right before I measure for the sides, just so I get it bang on. I could work it out, but I just want to make sure it's nice. So let's get these off and then we'll get cracking. Okay, I fitted a Fusebox three-phase board a few times actually. I fitted about 3 or 4 now, and the issues we had with the first generation of them was the top panels, much like a lot of the other manufacturers have got a flat plate top, which you can obviously take off. The top or bottom panel come off easily. Normally, what a lot of them have got is then a open slot with a bent flange all the way around to, as you know, to put grommet strip on it basically. Now, I mentioned to Fusebox, and I'm certain other people have as well, that when you were actually trying to fit armoured glands, bushes and things like that, that slot was an absolute nightmare, because you could cut your hole or press out your hole, whatever you're choosing to do it with, but that lip would always get in the way of your bushes and things like that, so you couldn't actually, or the lock rings on your armoured glands, so you couldn't actually do them nicely. Now, they have changed that, which I will show you in a second. I'll take the plates off. So well done, Fusebox. You're actually listening to people, which is brilliant, because one little thing like that actually can make a massive difference to a fuse board, in my opinion. So I'll take the plate off and I will show you what I mean. Okay, so top plate that you normally see on a distribution board. Now, this is what I mean here. So you all will have seen this lip here mounted in many three-phase distribution boards, but Fusebox have actually done it finally, so it's a separate plate. So this is removable. So what you've actually got then is a fully open slot in the top of the distribution board, so that you can make off bushes, armoured cables, or make your own slot easily. So absolutely brilliant. Like, it's a really quite a small design change, but really important for people like myself, because it's going to make my life much easier and give my job just a nicer little finish. So well done, Fusebox. It's really good to see that you're actually taking on board what people are saying, because a lot of manufacturers don't. So I'm going to get those. It does look like they screw together. So you've got threads top and bottom, and I'm assuming they line up. I'm going to have a look. So I should be able to thread right the way through both boards and actually bolt them together to get a nice firm fixing, and then we can start measuring and cutting our trunk in. My measurement for the top and bottom of the board is 516 millimeters. That might sound like quite an odd measurement, but that's to allow for the lock rings, which are going to go in between the trunking and the board itself. I have to put lock rings in there because you have got on all distribution boards you've got a bolt that goes through, which actually is intended for earthing the casing of the actual board itself, which you must do. So putting in lock rings, one, allows you to be able to still access that bolt, and two, means your trunking lid goes on nicely without actually scuffing the edges of the consumer unit or distribution board. So it's always nice to give yourself a bit of tolerance. So in this case, we're using lock rings. Obviously you can use bushes, but I don't have enough space to be able to put bushes between everything. So that's why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. Now, what I'm going to do next is cut my length of trunking. I'm going to be using my Milwaukee metal cold saw. I don't know what its real name is. Let's have a look. FMCS, so I'm assuming some sort of F for something, metal cold saw. I'm going to use my square like so. I'm going to get my mark lined up on my cut there and actually cut along the side of my square so I can actually keep that a really nice straight cut. I'm going to get my ear defenders and my safety glasses a moment, and then we'll get cutting. Okay, so next thing we want to do, now that we've cut the actual trunking itself, we need to, there's a fixing hole there which joins onto T's, bends, etc., end caps. So we need to find the measurements for that hole, mark that in our now cut end, and then we can actually start bolting together the bends onto there, mark our holes out where we're going to put our bushes going into the board and the trunking, get them all drilled, pressed out, and then we can mount that onto the board, do the exact same thing on the top. I'll skip all that because it's literally just teaching you to suck eggs. And then we can get our measurements for the sides, same thing again, get them cut in the same exact way, and then mark out where we're going to put our bushes. Okie dokie, so first section of trunking fitted. Now, I made a slight mistake, and I'm going to completely be honest about it because what's the point in lying? And we're all here to learn at the end of the day. So when I did my measurement for the board, I completely forgot to take into account the gussets on these. So it was 5/16, and it in fact is now actually, however much that is, bad cut there, look, 45 or 50 millimeters less. So that now goes on there with enough space that I can fit 2 lock rings. I nearly said onion rings in, don't know why. 2 lock rings either side. Now this section will actually be about there because we've got a 50mm bush going in here for the mains tails to go in. So I'm going to get that cut there. So that Fusebox actually do a 50mm knockout on there. So we're going to knock that out, mark it, cut it, press it out in the steel trunking, bush that together. And then I'm going to make this exact same section but for the top, and it will have 2 flat 90s rather than a T. The only reason that's T'ing is because that's going to come down a bit and then go across, because that is then going to accommodate our mains tails where they come in. Okie doke. So what I've also done actually already, I'm not sure if you can see it, there you go, I've put my marks on the side of the board where I'm going to drill out all my bushes. So I've measured that from the bottom of the board to each point, so that once I've got this fitted, I can measure to from the bottom, from where my trunking starts, up, and correlate it to those lines and just get them all perfect. And then I can drill a pilot hole in all of them, press them all out in one go, and in theory, they'll all line up. But we'll see. So I'm gonna get this top piece of trunking cut, mount that one, mount the top one, so they're actually all fixed on, and then I can actually cut the 2 sides and start bushing it all together. Wunderbar. Okay, we've done a little bit of fast forwarding. So I got all of my trunking links cut and I've actually bolted them all together. I've done my bushes top and bottom. Now that was just I'll give you a quick rundown of how we go about doing that. So literally all I did was mark on here, on the top of the actual distribution board, where I wanted my bushes to go. So as it happened on here, I chose to go 100 millimeters from each end in, and it was from the floor, not from the back of the board, because you've got to remember these boards have got standoff feet, which are like 4 to 5 millimeters. So you always want to measure, if you line this on a surface, measure from the actual floor, not just hooking it onto the board, because you'll be way out measurement otherwise. Yeah, so 55 millimeters up from the floor, and then all I did was find the center of this, offset them by 150 millimeters each way, because this is 500 minus 100 minus 100, it gives you 300. So 150 mil either side of center gives me that center point and that center point, so I can mark them there, and then again 55 millimeters from the back up, mark across, drill them out with my 20 mil arm egg bit, and then of course use my Milwaukee hole punch. So they line up really nicely. Same thing on the bottom. And then yeah, all I've done is, so I fitted this bit of trunk in, fitted that bit of trunk in, measured in between, cut the two sides, drilled out the fixing holes so that I could get them all joined together. And it's all bolted into one. So it is literally one entity at the moment. So what I'm going to do now, I've changed my mind slightly. So I'm going to actually mark where my holes are going to go in here. And then what I'm going to do is with my angle drill my 20 mil holes through from this way with my with my angle drill and my arm egg hole bit. And what it'll do is it'll cut the 20 in this one, but leave the pilot all the way through the first section of steel of the trunking as well. So then they're exactly in line. And then all I can do is take the board out of the middle of the trunking section, punch the 20s through this where the pilots are, and then use my hole punch to punch all of the 50 mils out that side, all the 50 mils out in the trunking and the board, and then slot the fuse board back in again, and just start putting all my bushes, lock rings, and couplers, not couplers, sorry, bushes, lock rings, and female bushes. I think I'm a couple short on the female bushes, so but that's not a problem. I got time to come back here another day. So yeah, that's the plan. I'm gonna drill those through, take this out, punch all the holes both sides, drop the board back in, and then start bushing it all together. And then that'll be, I know I will end up fitting this as one entire thing, which will be quite heavy, but it's going to be the nicest way to do it, and it's just less mucking around. So let's crack on, get those holes drilled, and then we can start punching everything out. Okay, so I've removed the board. So what I've actually done is I've drilled all the holes, piloted them all through. You might be able to see them there. So there's all the pilot holes where they've gone through. So when I've drilled them through the board, I did film it, but for some reason my gimbal had an absolute mind meld and it just did its own little thing. So you missed that. Sorry, guys. But what I'm doing now is where they've been piloted, actually drilling them out with the 20 mil hole saw so that they're all good. Okay, get them all drilled out, and then I can use the punch, go through, get them all punched out. Same again on the board, so they're already drilled. I just need to get them punched. And then we are good. I can literally just drop it back in and start getting all the bushes pushed into place. So not too bad. If at any point there's anything you're unsure about and you want to know a bit more about, just get in the comments and ask a question. I'll always come back and answer it. But yeah, I'm going to get these all punched out a moment, and then we can lift that thing in, and hopefully it all just bolts together. It's normally like the last two where they can be quite hard to get them to go in, but that's because you've got, 8, 9, 10, 11 points all clamping into one thing. So you've got a lot of, very fine tolerance. But in theory, because of how we've done it in situ, it should all be near enough bang on. But yeah, I'm going to get these drilled out and then punched out, and then we can put it back together. Right, I'm going to go for it. So I've knocked them all out. They are all ready. They're all at 50 millimeters in diameter now. So One thing I didn't mention as well, I've spoken to Fusebox about since as well. The boards don't fit together properly. I've managed to get 2 fixings at the back, but because of the box section here on the front, you actually can't access the front fixings to be able to join them together. So that's something they're going to look into, I'm sure. They've already told me they've passed it on to their design team. But I've managed to get 2 fixings, and what I'm going to do is actually, it's a bit floppy, for lack of a better word. I'm going to lift it up, slot it in, and it's all going to actually be held together by the bushes and everything. And we've got earth continuity through the whole thing because it's all metal. And we will be picking up the bonding, the main earthing nuts for the casings in both panels anyway. So there's no worry about earth continuity. It's just at the moment, it's a bit floppy, but they are held together. Right. Excuse the grunting if there is any. Oh, God. It's so heavy, man. I'll have to bleep that out. Right. And then the idea is I should be able to just 2 of my lock rings between the board and the trunking. Ooh, she's tight, which is good, really. You don't want it to be loose. No one likes a loose one. There we go. As long as you keep it sandwiched together nicely, both of those lock rings will stay tight together. You can adjust them afterwards anyway. I'll show you how in a second. Right, so it's coming through into the board. So it's just a case of getting them all wound in now, really. So this is going to take me a minute. So I'll skip this because I'll show you once I've done one, but you don't need to see me do all freaking 8 of them. And if you want to see me do all 8, then I'm afraid, I'm sorry to say, but you're sadder than I am. So, in terms of if one of your lock rings is tighter than the other, they are serrated on the edge, and you can force them around a bit. Just to get them tight. That is lovely there. 3rd lock ring inside. In there, beautiful. I'll get my grips in a second to tighten all that up. Female bush on the inside. Voila. Now I just need to do it 7 more times and rebush my couplers top and bottom so that it's all in the correct place. And then, as if by magic, it is ready to hang on the wall. But I'm going to turn you off, I'm going to get these all fitted, and then I'll see you over there when we go to fit it up on the wall. Okie dokie, right, bushes are all in. I've forgotten my vacuum cleaner, so I'm just going to let that all fall down to the bottom when I lift it in. It is what it is. I'm going to be really quick now because I'm getting a bit tight for time, but what I am going to do is get this quickly mounted up on the wall. So what I'm going to do is literally utilise the fixings in the distribution boards for now, and then what I will do is drill and put fixings through the trunking all the way around as well. It's going on to timber anyway, but yeah, what I'm going to do, all the cables I'm going to pull forward out of the way so I can fix my board up into place. And then what I essentially need to do is actually punch out holes in the top of that top trunk in, get some bushes in there and feed all the cables down through where I want them. But that will be probably tomorrow in the morning, I'd imagine. So I will see you guys back here then, and I will get this board finished off. But I am going to try and get this. In fact, do you know what? I'm just going to leave mounting it until tomorrow. Or do I? Do I do it now? No, I'm going to do it now. Let's do it now. Don't give up. Right, let's get this mounted, but then I can leave my tools here, luckily. So I'm going to mount this one up. You'll have to excuse the grunting because there will be some serious grunting going on because this is going to be quite heavy. But hey ho, the struggle is real. Right, let's get it in then. Again, like I say, ignore the grunting. I've got a couple of screws in my mouth as well, ready so that I can catch it as soon as I get in there. Let's get it in. Oh my god. Okay, so what I want to do is, but I'm just going to drive it straight up home and just drop it down so it's not touching where the ceiling will be, basically, in a nutshell. Hopefully it goes up not too bad. I am thinking I might put that in there. No, that ain't gonna work. She's going on the hip. Okie dokie, artichoke. Luckily the builder here is really anal and his walls are all bang on. So I know as long as I'm tight over to that left hand wall, we're good for level. So I haven't got to worry about that quite so much now. As long as I get a fix in, that's the main thing. But we'll see. Oh man, I hate cry. Right. Excuse me a moment. That was bloody hard work. Heavy as fudge. But I can get some more fixings in there. I will grab spirit level very quickly. Double check that we're. What's my board like there? Oh yeah, beautiful. Yeah, ideal. Right, let's get some bloody fixings in it then. And there we go. Why is that in slow mode? What's going on here? But all round, I'm pretty pleased. That's a big old board in place, ready to rock and roll. And hopefully one day this week, I actually, well, we'll see, but I might even come in and start getting them put away. But I am actually still waiting to hear back from a client about a job. And if he comes back and says yes, we'll be diving onto that quickly because that's an insurance job. And you know what insurance means, don't you? Insurance means money. No, it's not really like that. But he's a farmer and he's desperate to get working again. So I've said to him that if they get the go ahead and get the funding through, we'll drop what we're doing and go and sort him out. But if it doesn't come back to me, I may well be here for a day or two. And just crack on with this, which will be quite nice if I'm honest. Oh, don't you just hate it when that happens? Not really tall enough for this. Where's Nick Bundy when you need him? Beautiful. Well, let's give you a closer look, shall we? Gimbal again. So, like I said before, we've got like a 60, 70 mil gap to the left-hand side. So we're going right up, just shy of the ceiling, running down that wall. We've got probably 700 or 800 mil under the board there. We're going to do a little drop there, trunking across this wall then, and literally where that Sharpie mark is there, outside, that is where I need to go through to get into the meter box. So our trunk's going to run a bit higher just so we're not affecting the manifold. But voila, distribution board in place. I was right in the middle of doing my outro, and my wife rang me because my power tripped off at home. Better call an electrician, I suppose, because I ain't doing it when I get home. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done already, make sure you like and subscribe. There's going to be lots more videos back at this place again as we go through and terminate the distribution board. Lots of second fixing, and of course, lots of LED tape, which I'm really excited about. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys very soon.